Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan, and I am back with another PDPL coach interview. Today I am joined by Matt, who is sitting at 2-0 and is the reason we had a week 2 bye this season. So, how are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing well. How about you, Dan?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me for this quick little interview today. Uh, so I just wanted to get started. I know that you've been in a number of leagues with current PDPL coaches, but not all of them. So do you want to give
Yeah,
everyone a bit of your background, just both in draft league and in VGC as a whole?
sure. Yeah. I've been playing VGC for quite a while. Draft for not as long. I started VGC back in like late 2014. The first live event I went to was a regional in Northern California in October of 2014. I've been playing pretty consistently since then, going to live events, regionals, local tournaments, that kind of thing. Um, my first introduction to draft was toward kind of toward the end of Generation Seven.
Hmm.
I played in in the multi battle conference, which got started a season earlier. I got to play in season two. My buddy and my roommate Anthony and I we weren't roommates at the time, but we formed a team. Since it's a multi battle league, we played there, just barely made playoffs. We didn't really know anything about draft beforehand. We kind of just saw like
Right.
all those YouTubers doing the multi battle draft league, and thought it'd be cool to join up when we got the invite. And then it seemed like after COVID started, draft leagues just blew up since nobody was playing in any live events. So
Hmm.
multi battle conference got started back up. I got an invite from Maxwell to join the MDL. I met him through Alex Agloza's server a while back. And since then, I've played in a total of 4 seasons of MBC. I won one of those. I played in a total of 3 seasons of MDL. I won 2 of those,
Hmm.
and I also played in Jin Farai's High Roller League, where I made playoffs there. So that's kind of my VGC draft league history.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know I gave you a bit too much credit last week in my interview when I said you were a four-time league champion, but you are not quite to that
Only
level
three.
yet. Only three championships
We'll get the fourth one eventually. I don't know what it'll
in
be,
eight
but
tries. Yeah, I'm sure you will at some point. So you've been playing draft since the end of Gen 7 then. So what's been sort of your favorite draft format? Is it that multi-battle? Is it a Dynamax league? Have you played any no Dynamax leagues? Any of those?
um, by this time I probably should have played in a non-max league, especially considering I have so much experience playing VGC before Dynamax even existed.
Right.
But I don't know. There's something about draft leagues. Since I've been playing with Dynamax, there's something about Dynamax draft leagues that I've just really gotten used to. It's what I've gotten good at. It's what I know.
Mhm.
Um, I like I kind of I sort of hate fake out, and maybe it's a little bit like maybe hate's too strong of a word, but I love uh fake out was always just an kind of an annoying part of the game, and like a format like Series 10 just really highlighted how annoying it was with all the pivoting and faking out with like Incineroar and Rillaboom. And I get that that's less of a problem in draft, but that's
Right.
part of the reason why I like Dynamax. It's a lot less annoying without that kind of play style. Um, but I mean, my favorite format's definitely some kind of Dynamax format. I think I tend to go more for like the mythical and transfer move style stuff that we do over in MBC. I think it's less about the transfer moves and more about the mythicals for me. I just like having extra Pokemon that you don't normally see in VGC. It's super cool to see
Mhm.
a Keldeo hit the field, or like a Volcanion or Marshadow, or something crazy like that. Um, I but transfer moves are definitely a part of it too. It just gives more Pokemon more things to do. I find it a lot more interesting. But I would say probably I would prefer to do that in like a regular, VGC style 4v4 doubles format rather than multi battles. I do like multi battles, but if I had to choose between that and regular doubles, I'd probably go doubles, mainly because of the um, the weird Dynamax rules where it kind of switches
Right.
back and forth between the two sides.
So your ideal format is the MDL season you decided to sit out.
Yeah, I was as I was saying that I realized that's kind of what happened. I did sit that one out in order to play in the high roller league because I wanted to just go all in on that. But yeah, that probably would have been my preferred format if I got to play there. But I was involved enough with the season. I've got some close friends here in California that I would toss around ideas with occasionally for their matches, and got to watch a lot of cool games. So it was good enough, being on the sidelines.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. So you were complaining about Rillaboom in Series 10, and yet here you drafted a Rillaboom on your team. So why don't you tell me a bit about the team you're drafted, and, do you like the team so far? Is it performing the way you wanted it to? Are there some things you would change with it? Just generally tell me a bit about your thoughts on your team.
Well, I wasn't necessarily expecting to get Rillaboom. I guess we can start there. I was definitely wanting some kind of high tier grass type. It was either that or tier 2 Kartana or tier 3 Tapu Bulu, which I don't think either of those two got drafted. So I could kind of take whatever I wanted. It's not so much that I dislike Rillaboom. It's more just the style of play where in formats where you have combinations like Rillaboom and Cineroar that are allowed, where it's just a heavy amount of pivoting and playing around fake outs. I just kind of find that style of play annoying. But it's not really that much of a problem in draft, and I don't have to do that. I don't think with especially not with my team, since Rillaboom's kind of the only part that does that. But overall, I mean, the team is definitely cool. It's kind of a combination between, like, I'm in a kind of a weird place with drafting styles right now, where I want to draft new stuff that I've never used before, which I did do a lot of that here, but I'm also still in this league, at least, I'm trying to stick to drafting an optimized team, drafting stuff that I'm tools that I'm comfortable with, and still having my usual kind of play styles. And I feel like this team is it kind of does a bit of both. My play style a lot of the time, not all the time, but a decent amount of the time relies on some kind of like Dynamax combination stuff, and my team still has those options, but it also can do more of kind of what I did against Chad, where it was more just relied on synergy, offensive and defensive, rather than just offensive. And it's a little bit easier to kind of pivot around and play defensively if I need to. Right. So I'm sort of in this weird place where I have some stuff I'm comfortable with, but I'm branching out with different Pokemon and different play styles. So I thought this was a decent opportunity to do that, especially with Heatran as my first pick. Definitely not something I would usually go for, but the value in tier 2 seemed really good, so that's what I decided to build around.
Yeah, speaking of Heatran with the first pick, do you think your position in the draft really affected the way that you decided to approach the team building? Like, was Heatran something you would have looked at with a much earlier pick, or?
Yeah, probably. I think it's likely it would have gone the same way. There were still, even when it was my turn, there were some really high value tier 1 Pokemon that I kind of skipped over. I mean, it got all the way down to you toward the end of the draft, and you picked up Metagross. If I was focusing very heavily on just like drafting the best possible team I could get with no other priorities in mind, I might have taken Metagross.
Right.
But Heatran seemed like something that was really good value, something I thought was under tiered, which was rare in between that tier 1 and tier 2 kind of thing. It was on the fence there, so I thought it was really good, and I probably would have picked it up even if I had an earlier pick.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, what have your thoughts been on the? You've played 2 matches so far, right? Because you had that week 2 bye. What have your thoughts been on the level of competition and just overall the way that your matches have played out? Have you been really happy with your play? Have you thought that there have been some sort of misplays that you've made that you hope to clean up throughout the season? So both for you and your opponents, like, what have your thoughts been on the level of the matches?
They've definitely been tough, especially this most recent match. I mean, like I'm still kind of
the marathon
reeling from that. Like, yeah, I feel like I need like an extra nap every day this week to recover from the mental exhaustion of that kind of match, because it's not how I usually play, and it's not how like Series 9 matches usually go. So yeah, that was definitely a big one. Yeah, the competition is really fierce. It's I don't think that I've made any major mistakes. I felt like in my first week, my play and my prep was relatively clean. The second week, any major like I don't think there were. I probably made some minor misplays, but like there were so many things that happened during that match, and it lasted so long that like I don't think you can pick out anything that either of us did that was like,
there was no match losing or game losing moment from either of you guys. It was sort of,
yeah, I mean, maybe with one exception. Chad and I talked a little bit after the match, and we kind of decided that Game 3, the Thunderbolt into the Heatran Protect was kind of the spot where I was able to get back into it. But even that doesn't seem like it's not like a huge blunder or anything. It's not every single mistake or misplay that either of us may have made was pretty minor.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned you were from Southern California, and this coming week you are also playing another player from California, I believe, Cortex. Do you have any thoughts on this Week 4 matchup? I believe you two are also the last 2 undefeated coaches already in Week 4, so after 4 weeks we'll be down to 0 undefeated or 1 undefeated coaches. So any thoughts on your matchup?
Not really. I haven't. I was planning on like really diving into my prep later tonight. I haven't really taken a look at the matchup like at all. I think he has like a Moltres or something. I'm not really sure. But
yes, he does have a Moltres.
Yeah. I think the more interesting part of the matchup. I mean, I say this without having really looked at like the Pokemon matchup on paper, but I think the more interesting part of the matchup is what you said. We're the last 2 undefeated players, so there's only going to be one left after we end up playing this coming week. So it'll be a big match for sure for that reason. Whoever wins gets to take the first seed so far.
Yeah, there's been a lot of parity. I don't think I've ever been in a league where we've gone down to a single undefeated player through 4 weeks. So I'm pretty happy with the level of parity that's existed so far. So looking forward at the remainder of your matches, is there a match you're most excited about, and maybe one you're most nervous about as well, or a player you're most looking forward to play?
The one I'm most excited about might just be this one with Cortex in Week 4. Just for the reason we were just talking about. It's kind of it's just a big match, considering we're both fighting for the number 1 spot and the title of the last undefeated coach. For whatever that's worth. So I think that by itself is pretty exciting. As for matches that I'm nervous or unsure about. I mean, I would probably have to go with any of the players that I don't really know here that well or haven't played before have to be at the top of the list, just because I don't know quite what to expect. I think the person who might be at the top of that list, I don't know, might be Tay.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot of good things about him, how strong of a player he is. I've seen some matches from him so far. He's obviously very good, and he's out of the players that are on my schedule looking forward. He's probably the one one of the ones I know the least about. So that's that'll be interesting to see how that one goes. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but is he also one of our VDL players?
No, he's not a VDL player. So,
oh, okay.
Tay comes from the UGA. He is the 2-time grand champion there in 3 seasons. So the UGA structure has, I think, 6 to 8 divisions of 12. If you win your division, you go to the Champions Tournament. If you win the Champions Tournament, you're grand champion. So that's I think at least 72 players in the league each season. So he's won it twice in 3 seasons.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then he also won the MGU All-Star League.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to see players coming from all these different leagues, because like I've noticed that in at least for the leagues that I've been involved in, there's sort of everybody in that league sort of exists in kind of a little bubble, and you there's sort of an ecosystem within the league where people kind of grow, like to have kind of a consensus about like what things are good and about like maybe even play styles and that kind of thing. And it's I've seen some I might have seen some interesting patterns emerge from other leagues. It's a little early to say, but it's interesting to see a lot of those different perspectives coming together in this league. So which is kind of what makes me nervous about playing people that I've never met before, never played before. It's just really hard to know what to expect. It's a lot easier when you've been playing with the same people in the same league for a while, and you kind of get a sense of what this person's like and how that person plays and all that. So it's a little more predictable.
Yeah, you absolutely get a lot of differences, but there is some stratification by league. Like even in the power rankings, I noticed that in the VDL, I think 4 of the 6 VDL coaches had the same player ranked number 1 in their power rankings, and that player wasn't top 5 in anyone else's power rankings. So there is that kind of stratification in opinions on like, okay, this is what makes a good team, this is what makes a good play style, and it is very different from league to league. So it's really interesting to see how those all match up. And thinking about your match with Tay, just remember his Kangaskhan gets crit 100% of the time. So no matter what you do, you can like calc it as if it's getting crit. That will not.
I will keep that in mind.
That will not be a mistake. But enough about the Pokemon. We will settle that throughout the season as that goes on. Although you did mention being the top seed, that's very important given the playoff structure as well. So that's something to go for. But if I remember correctly, you work in education, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm just working as a substitute teacher right now. Just kind of on the hunt for a full-time position. I've got my credential and everything, so I'm ready to get in there once somebody decides to hire me.
Is that something that you knew you wanted to do for a long time, or is that sort of okay?
Yeah, it's really the only thing I've ever wanted to do is teach.
And what do you primarily teach? Like middle school, elementary school?
Oh, high school, 100%. Okay. I mean, if somebody offered me a job to teach middle school, like I don't know if I would even take it. I do much better with the older kids. The more I can treat my students like they're adults, the better time everybody has.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what's your subject area of preference or expertise?
My credential is a history and social science credential. I'm less history oriented than most other people with my same credential, but I'm still qualified to teach that stuff. My bachelor's degree is in political science, so one of the main things I would want to teach is like U.S. government, and I also taught psychology when I was doing my student teaching, and I really, really love that. So those are the two things I would most like to teach.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I also have a bachelor's degree in political science, so I am right with you in the interest in government, although I took mine in a very different direction and actually working in government, which is interesting in and of itself.
Yeah, that's something I never really wanted to pursue. A lot of people ask me about it, but nah.
It's an interesting field. I'll leave it at that. But so you said you've gone to a lot of different regionals. Have you traveled much else outside of Pokemon, or has Pokemon been sort of your main reason to travel recently?
That's been mostly it, with a few exceptions here and there. But yeah, I've done a lot of traveling. I used to live in Northern California. I've only been in Southern California for a year or two ish. So when I was in Northern California, I used to make an 8-hour drive down here for Southern California regionals. I used to make another 8-hour drive up to Portland, Oregon for regionals over there. I've flown out to Dallas. I've flown out to Columbus, Ohio. All just for Pokemon stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you have a favorite venue for regionals?
Favorite venue? Not
city.
Not really.
Venue or city.
Portland was always fun to go to. It's just a very interesting, very weird kind of place. Right. So any of the any time spent in the city, aside from doing the normal Pokemon stuff, was always entertaining.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, what about things outside of Pokemon? Like, what other major hobbies do you do? Or are you the type of person that just locks yourself in a dark room to do calcs by hand to make sure that you're optimized at every given moment?
That's part of it, but, there are other things I do with my time. Most of my hobbies have been gaming related. As far as like Nintendo gaming goes, it's my Switch is pretty much just like a Pokemon and Smash Bros machine, and the Smash playing is much more casual. Don't ever ask me to play a Smash game online; it's not going to go well. But I've always been a big fan of RPGs. Anything like Mass Effect or Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Fable, stuff like that. I've always loved those kinds of games. And I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons as well. I've been doing that since my mid-college years, so it's been a good while since I've started that. So that's a pretty serious hobby of mine.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I'm also into tabletop gaming, basically since college as well. So I can also understand that. So. I think we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon, but do you have any sort of closing thoughts that you want to share, knowledge or wisdom that you wish to impart?
No, not really. I mean, I'm pretty behind on the EV spread guide I was supposed to be making for this league, but as far as knowledge and wisdom goes,
we'll expect it all there, and expect mostly nonsense outside. Got it.
That's where it'll be. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and be an interviewee this week. Really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting this video up and continuing to put out some more PDPL content. So your YouTube channel is Amoongus Burnouts, I believe, and I will be linking that in the description below. So go ahead and give Matt a follow if you guys enjoy this sort of high-level battle content. He's definitely a good channel to be looking at. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye.